The universe was a dark and dangerous place. Many creatures lived in its far corners and each had their own way of surviving. But one thing all these creatures shared was fear. Fear was the greatest power in the universe. It controlled empires, broke wills, and decided who lived and who died. Many races had learned to understand fear well. They used it as a weapon, a tool and a shield. They thought they were the masters of fear. They believed no one could match their knowledge or their courage. Among these races, some were especially feared. Their names alone could make others tremble. They ruled many star systems with an iron fist and crushed all who dared oppose them. For centuries, they believed no force could challenge them, because they understood fear better than anyone. But then, something changed. A new race appeared on the edges of their territory, a race that no one expected. A race that did not fit into the usual rules of the universe. This race was called humanity. In the Great Council of the Outer Stars, leaders from many powerful races gathered. They spoke in low voices about the humans. The aliens were tall with sharp claws and cold eyes. They looked serious, and some were nervous. "They say humans have arrived in our space," one leader said. "We must be careful. They are unknown. We do not understand them." Another alien smiled cruelly. "Unknown is easy to fear, but we know fear well. We use it every day. Our enemies break before they fight us. We rule because of fear." Indeed, leader nodded. "But humans, they say humans are different. They do not show fear the way others do." A third alien growled, "That is impossible. Fear is natural. All creatures feel it. If humans do not, then they are weak or fools. Neither can survive here." The council argued late into the night. Fear was their greatest weapon, but they feared the humans' unknown power. What if humans did not fear at all? What if humans were stronger than any fear master? In the cold, dark space, a small human ship moved quietly. It was simple compared to the giant warships of the alien empires. But inside, the humans were strong. They had courage and hope. Captain Sarah looked out the window. "This is our new home," she said softly. "We don't know what dangers we will meet, but we will face them. We will not be afraid." Her crew nodded. They had trained for years for this mission. They knew it would be dangerous, but they believed in themselves and their mission. The human ship landed on a strange alien world. The sky was dark red, and the ground was cold and hard. Strange creatures watched from the shadows. Suddenly, loud alarms sounded from the alien towers. The fear masters had noticed the humans. They were coming to meet them. The alien leaders sent their worst warriors to scare the humans. These warriors were terrifying. They had glowing eyes, sharp teeth, and weapons that could destroy mountains. They roared and shouted threats. But the humans did not run. They stood tall and calm. Captain Sarah spoke clearly. "We come in peace, but we will defend ourselves if needed. Fear will not control us." The warriors were confused. They had expected the humans to run or scream. But these humans were calm, even brave. One warrior stepped forward. "You do not know fear. That is your weakness." Sarah smiled. "Maybe, but we also know courage, and courage is stronger than fear." The warrior growled and attacked. The battle began. The fight was fierce. The warriors used their strongest weapons, but the humans fought back with smart plans and teamwork. They did not try to kill all enemies, but showed strength and control. The aliens saw that humans did not fear pain or death in the same way. They fought even when hurt. They did not give up. The warriors began to lose. Their confidence cracked. For the first time, they felt true fear. They feared the humans' calmness and courage. The humans won the fight, but they did not celebrate. Captain Sarah said, "This is only the beginning. We will face many dangers, but we will never give in to fear." Back in the alien capital, the leaders discussed the battle. "How can humans be so fearless?" one asked. "They feel pain and danger like us, but they do not run." Another said, "Maybe humans understand fear differently. Maybe they face it instead of hiding from it." A third leader frowned. This could change everything. If humans do not fear, they might be stronger than us all. The council agreed to watch humans closely. They feared losing power if humans were truly fearless. The story of humans in the universe was just beginning. The Fear Masters had met their match. The greatest fears of the universe were about to be rewritten, and in the shadows, humans prepared for what was next. They knew fear was real, but they knew something more powerful: hope and courage. The universe waited, and humanity was ready. The humans had arrived in the alien world, calm and ready. The strange creatures who ruled this place had expected them to be scared. They expected cries, confusion, and running away. Instead, they found something unexpected: quiet courage. When the first group of aliens met the humans face to face, they tried to show their power. The aliens moved slowly, with eyes glowing in the dark, trying to make themselves look big and dangerous. They made loud noises, hoping to frighten the newcomers, but the humans didn't flinch. They stood tall and steady, their faces calm and their voices clear. One of the aliens stepped forward and spoke in a rough voice. "Why do you not fear us? Everyone else runs when they see us. Fear keeps the weak safe." The human leader, Captain Sarah, looked directly into the alien's eyes and said, "We feel fear, yes, but fear does not stop us. It makes us stronger. It shows us where we must be brave." This answer surprised the aliens. They had never heard anything like it. Fear was something to avoid or to use to control others, but these humans used fear in a different way, as a tool to move forward. The humans had learned this on their homeworld. They had faced many dangers before coming here. They knew what it was like to feel scared but still to stand firm. This was their strength. The aliens watched as the humans moved calmly through the strange land. The plants and rocks looked different, but the humans did not seem afraid of the unknown. They asked questions and explored carefully, learning quickly about this new place. Back in the alien city, the leaders gathered again. They talked about the humans and their strange courage. One elder said, "They are not like us. They do not hide from fear. They accept it." Another added, "If fear cannot control them, how can we? We rule by fear. Without it, we lose power." The council decided to send more emissaries to meet the humans. They wanted to learn about them and test their limits. When the emissaries arrived, they brought gifts, tools, strange devices, and messages of peace. The humans accepted these gifts with respect, but made it clear they would not be intimidated. Over time, a cautious friendship began. The humans and aliens talked more. The humans shared stories about their past, about times when they had to face great dangers and fears. They explained how fear was not the enemy but a signal to be brave. The aliens listened carefully. Some were still unsure, but others began to see humans in a new light. Maybe courage was more powerful than fear. One young alien approached Captain Sarah. "How do you keep your courage when everything is so strange and dangerous?" she asked. Sarah smiled gently. "We remember who we are and what we want to protect. Fear is only a feeling. It can guide us or hold us back. We choose to let it guide us." This simple idea changed many minds. The humans did not promise to be rulers or conquerors. They only wanted to live and explore. But their strength and calm shook the foundation of the alien world. As days passed, the humans worked together with the aliens. They helped fix problems, shared knowledge, and showed kindness. Slowly, fear in the alien world began to lose its power. The story of humans spread across the stars. Other races watched closely, wondering what this new courage meant for the universe. Humans did not try to hide their feelings. They admitted they felt fear sometimes, but they never let it control them. This honesty made them strong and trusted. The aliens began to ask themselves hard questions. Was fear really the strongest power? Or was there something better? The humans had come not to fight, but to change the universe's way of thinking, and the universe was ready to listen. The humans had arrived, and the aliens were still trying to understand them. The aliens believed fear was the strongest force, but the humans showed something new, a calm that puzzled everyone. The aliens had tried to scare the humans, but their plans had not worked. Now the aliens wanted to test another way, by seeing if humans could be broken by challenges that were not about fear. The alien leaders called for a great test. It was not about fighting or weapons. It was about the mind and heart. They would create trials that would test the humans' patience, wisdom, and spirit. The goal was to see if humans could remain strong when the world around them was difficult and confusing. The first challenge was a maze, a huge labyrinth of twisting paths, strange sounds, and shifting walls. The aliens said it was impossible to solve. Many of their own had tried and failed. The maze was said to trap those inside forever. Captain Sarah and her crew entered the maze. At first, the walls seemed cold and dark. The air was thick with silence. It was easy to feel lost. But the humans stayed calm. They worked together, talking softly, making plans, and helping each other. As they walked, strange illusions appeared, visions of their deepest fears and doubts. Some saw shadows of failure, others saw loneliness or loss. The illusions were meant to break their spirit, to make them give up. But the humans faced these visions openly. They spoke to each other, shared their fears, and reminded one another why they must keep going. Outside the maze, the aliens watched carefully. They whispered among themselves. How do they keep going? Their minds do not break. The second challenge was even harder. The humans were taken to a place with no light, no sound, nothing at all. It was a place of silence and emptiness. Time seemed to stretch forever. The aliens called it the void of stillness. Many had entered and lost their minds. Inside this dark emptiness, the humans sat quietly. They closed their eyes and breathed slowly. They remembered stories from their past, times when people had been alone but had found strength inside themselves. The silence was hard, but the humans did not panic. They used the quiet to listen to their own hearts, to find hope and peace. The aliens could not understand this. Their minds filled with noise and fear. The humans were calm, patient, and strong. Next, the aliens gave the humans a test of trust. They had to work with alien strangers they barely knew. The humans needed to share ideas and help each other, even when they felt unsure or afraid. This was a new challenge. The aliens expected failure, because fear often made their own people doubt and fight. But the humans reached out. They listened carefully, showed respect, and found common ground. Slowly, walls of mistrust broke down. New friendships began to form. The alien leaders were amazed. Humans are not like us, one said. Their strength is not just courage. It is hope, patience, and trust. Captain Sarah spoke to the council. We do not come to destroy or conquer. We come to learn and grow together. Fear has its place, but it must never stop us from moving forward. The council was silent for a long time. No one had said such words before. The idea of hope and trust as strength was new. The humans' actions began to change the alien world. Some aliens who had lived in fear for so long started to feel something different, curiosity and hope. A young alien who had once been cold and distant now smiled when she saw the humans helping others. She thought, maybe fear is not the only answer. Maybe we can find strength in kindness. The story of humans spread beyond this planet. Other races watched and wondered. What made humans so different? How could they face fear and still be so strong? The answer was not simple. It was a combination of many things: hope, courage, trust, and a will to survive. Humans had learned to accept fear, but not let it control them. The universe was changing. The old ways of ruling by fear were no longer the only way. Something new was coming, and humans were at the center of it. Captain Sarah looked up at the stars one night and thought, we have much to do. This is only the beginning. The universe waited, watching the new story unfold. The alien leaders were puzzled. They had never met a race like humanity before. The humans did not run from fear. They did not fight out of anger. Instead, they faced everything with a quiet strength that made the aliens wonder if they had misunderstood the true meaning of courage. One day, the alien leader called a secret meeting. They wanted to learn more about the humans, not just how they acted, but why. What was the source of their power? Was it something in their minds, their hearts, or something else entirely? The leader sent a small group of scholars to observe the humans closely. These scholars were wise and careful. They watched the humans during their daily lives, during work, during rest. They saw humans laugh, cry, and speak softly with each other. They saw humans help one another even when the path was difficult. One scholar, named Varro, was especially curious. He watched Captain Sarah speak to her crew, always calm and clear, even when things went wrong. Varro saw something he had never seen before, hope mixed with understanding. Sarah did not pretend that fear was not real. She acknowledged it but showed that fear could be controlled, not be a master. Varro began to ask questions. He spoke to Sarah quietly one evening under the stars. "You do not fear the unknown," he said. "How can that be? My people believe fear keeps us safe." Sarah smiled kindly. "Fear is natural. It helps us understand danger, but fear is only one part of what we feel. We also feel hope, love, and courage. When we feel fear, we do not run away. We listen to it and decide how to move forward." Varro thought about this deeply. He had always believed fear was a wall. Now he wondered if it was a door. The next days brought more surprises. The humans showed patience with the strange customs of the alien world. They did not demand change but asked questions. They showed respect. They taught the aliens new ways to solve problems, not with fear or force, but with trust and care. Slowly, some aliens began to change. They tried to face their fears, not by hiding but by understanding them. They learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but acting despite it. One alien named Lyra spoke to Varro. "I was afraid for many years, afraid to fail, afraid to lose control. But watching the humans, I see now that fear can be a teacher, not a prison." The council listened to these words. It was hard to accept at first. But as more aliens shared their thoughts, a new idea grew, a new way of living. Captain Sarah and her crew became teachers and friends. They did not come as conquerors but as learners and helpers. They built bridges where there had been walls, but not all aliens agreed. Some still clung to old ways. They saw fear as power and courage as weakness. These voices were loud but growing quieter. The universe was changing, and humans were at the center of this change. Their secret was not that they had no fear, but that they chose to face it with hope and trust. Varro, once a scholar who doubted, now felt proud to be part of this new story. He looked at the stars and smiled, knowing the future was bright. And the humans? They knew their journey was only beginning. There were more worlds to see, more fears to face, and more hope to share. The stars above the alien city sparkled brighter than ever. But in the minds of many, a quiet question grew stronger each day. What else are the humans hiding? They had shown kindness where others showed fear. They had remained calm where others panicked. They had faced tests of the mind, soul, and heart, without giving in. Still, the aliens wondered, was there a deeper layer? A hidden reason for their strange strength? Some believed it was all just cleverness. Others whispered that humans had experienced something long ago that had changed them forever. Curiosity grew so strong that the council called for one last invitation. A quiet one. No public trial, no official challenge. Instead, they asked Captain Sarah and her team to visit the Chamber of Echoes, an ancient place of memory. No one had stepped inside the chamber for centuries. It was not a place of danger. It was a place where truth could not be hidden. In the chamber, thoughts from the past echoed. People did not speak with words, but with feelings, with moments remembered. It was said the chamber let one soul be heard, honestly, openly. When Sarah agreed, the aliens were both excited and nervous. If the humans were hiding anything, the chamber would show it. As the humans entered, the room lit up gently. The walls shimmered like soft glass. The air hummed, not loud, but alive, like a quiet wind made of memories. At first, silence. Then slowly, The chamber began to respond to Sarah's presence. A vision formed, a planet spinning in space. It was Earth, but not the peaceful Earth the aliens had seen through human stories. It was chaotic, stormy, filled with struggle. The humans watching the vision remained calm. But the aliens leaned in, wide-eyed. They saw war, disaster, hunger. They saw people fall, but then get up again. They saw fear in human eyes, but also the refusal to surrender. And then a new vision appeared. People helping each other after loss. Children laughing even in broken places. A mother giving her last piece of food to her child. A team of strangers pulling a man from a collapsed building. The images were not about fear or power. They were about rising again and again, even when everything was lost. The aliens had never seen anything like this. To them, fear was something to avoid. But humans had lived with fear, sat beside it, walked through it, and still built homes, sang songs, and told stories of hope. Varro, the alien scholar, whispered to the others, "They are not strong because they never fell. They are strong because they always stood up again." Suddenly the chamber shifted. Now it was showing something quiet, personal. Sarah, as a young child, sitting in a dark room holding a small light. Her hands shook. She was afraid, but she whispered to herself, "I will not stop. I will find the way." The aliens watching felt that moment in their hearts. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was real. After the chamber dimmed, there was silence. One of the alien council members stepped forward. His voice was soft. "We thought fear was a chain. You have shown us it can be a teacher." Sarah smiled. "Fear walks beside us, but it doesn't lead us. We lead ourselves." That night, in homes across the city, aliens told their children a new kind of story. Not one where the strongest ruled by fear, but where the brave moved forward with kindness, even when they were afraid. A small alien child looked up at the stars and asked, "Will I ever be as strong as the humans?" Her father replied, "You already are. You just haven't seen it, yet." And while the humans rested under the strange skies, they did not know how deeply they had changed this world. But they would soon find out, because something was coming. Something that would test not just one planet but many, and the universe would once again look to humanity, not for power, but for light in the dark. The stars were quiet, but the silence didn't last. Far beyond the peaceful skies of the alien world, something ancient began to wake. It wasn't a being and it wasn't a machine, it was a signal, a pulse moving across space, a forgotten warning that once meant nothing, now meant everything. Deep in the alien archives, lights blinked, unread files opened, symbols the scholars hadn't seen in ages began to appear. It was a pattern only one race in the galaxy could understand, the humans. Captain Sarah stood in front of the projection, her eyes calm but focused. The pulse carried no words, no voice, only feeling. A feeling that chilled even the bravest. It was the feeling of something watching, something approaching, but it wasn't fear that filled Sarah's chest. It was a quiet sense of purpose. The alien council gathered around. Their faces were uncertain. "Is this danger?" one asked. Sarah nodded slowly. "It's not danger. Not yet. But it could become one if we do nothing. This isn't something we can run from, it's something we must face together." The message wasn't meant for just one species. It was reaching everyone, whispers across the stars, touching minds and stirring old memories. The forgotten past was no longer forgotten, and humanity had seen this pattern before. Back in Earth's history, there were signs like this. Changes. In the sky, shifts in magnetic lines, dreams that felt too real. At the time, no one understood. But now, the pieces were coming together. The alien scholars worked day and night beside human thinkers. It was the first time so many minds from different worlds worked in perfect rhythm, not out of fear, but unity. While others looked to the skies for answers, Sarah looked to the people. She walked among the cities. She met young alien children, listened to their questions, and spoke to the elders. She didn't offer promises of safety. She offered something deeper: understanding. "We don't face the unknown because we have all the answers," she told a crowd gathered in a quiet square. "We face it because we are not alone anymore." That simple sentence echoed far beyond the walls of that city, across planets, across hearts. The signal's pulse continued, slow but steady. It wasn't speeding up. It was waiting to see how the galaxy would respond. That's when something beautiful happened. One by one, other alien races began to reach out. Not with fear, but with willingness. Ships came in peace, messages of help, ideas, knowledge. They had seen the humans. They had heard the stories. And now they wanted to stand beside them. In every message, there was one clear idea. If the humans are not afraid, then maybe we don't need to be either. A unity was forming, stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. A gathering of species that once lived in silence now began to hum with hope. Sarah stood at the center of it all, not as a ruler, not as a commander, but as a reminder of something old and deep. She reminded them that strength was not in hiding or forcing, but in standing tall when the night seems long. The signal's final phase arrived. A wave of light moved across space, but instead of bringing fear, it brought clarity. The message was not a threat. It was a test, sent long ago by a forgotten civilization. It was asking one question: has the galaxy grown wise enough to face the unknown without turning against itself? And this time, for the first time, the answer was yes. The humans did not win through force. They didn't defeat anything. They simply inspired others to rise. The aliens had thought they understood fear. Then humanity walked in, not with weapons, but with open eyes and steady hearts. And now the universe was no longer afraid. Captain Sarah looked up at the stars one last time before leaving the alien world. Around her stood new friends, new allies, and old enemies who had learned to forgive. She smiled gently and said, "We didn't come to lead. We came to remind you who you already are." And then the stars sang back, not in words, but in light. The future had changed, and humanity once again had sparked something far greater than fear.